Now, here is the key point. We're aware that as sentient beings we have a consciousness, and that this consciousness involves in some way with our interaction with the universe. I think you may know that I'm editor-in-chief of the Journal of Cosmology, and we have just published a mind-blowing issue of that journal that describes what is the nature of consciousness. In other words, a special volume of the Journal of Consciousness devoted, Journal of Cosmology devoted to understanding consciousness. And I can sort of divide the papers written by scholars at universities far and wide. The papers in two classes. One, a class of papers in the majority which describe consciousness as due to processes within the brain. That is, the coordinate of the brain cell for happiness is at x equals 24.3 millimeters, y and z likewise. A sense that there are local properties in the brain that describe all of the brain functions, and that is seemingly in some ways supported by brainwave research. We see that if somebody sees a scary movie, they're likely to have triggered action in some local area of the brain. I think I'm more interested in the alternate school, which believes that the brain is really about communicating with the rest of the universe. By that I mean that the brain is interpreting brain patterns that consists of this universal psi function, and that describe the existence of particles, and the existence of particles is always understood to be an understanding of these terms, but we so often prefer to simply say, well, these off-diagonal terms don't really have much to do with the description of particles, and we ignore them. Now, what if, in fact, these terms are the dominant ones in describing consciousness activity? And there's a very important reason for believing so, and that has to do with the fact that our brain has been made with a mirror symmetry, and that's what we mean by it has a left and a right lobe. This mirror symmetry plays a role because when people look at brain scans, they seem to find that the brain produces one image of the brain of one kind or polarity on one hemisphere, and then the same one, but now reversed in direction x. So if I could draw what that looks like, if these are the two brain lobes, you will often see a brain pattern that's a squiggle here, but now seen in its mirror image on the other side. What's profound about this is that in this mathematics of the effect of the brain on this quantum wave, this property of the brain, which presumably occurs when something, I think, is called the hypothalamus, at the center of these two, transfers effects seen in this part of the brain and transfer them mysteriously over to the opposite side, allowing the brain to form this mirror image. Insofar as that's true, that then allows the brain to produce terms in the derivative sense which are the opposite in sign. And so when the brain produced the original brain wave here, it also produced the one with x being negative. This x being negative is going to be very important in what I will say in a moment when we talk about a field theory that describes consciousness and what the brain is doing when it is interpreting the quantum waves.